What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to take a look at TCG Player because we've entered the Cyber Weekend sale on TCG Player. You get 10% back in-store credit, 13% if you're a pro member, and we're seeing a lot of sales on some very popular items, and it's also affecting some of the market prices. So we're going to take a look at that. Starting off, we will look at the Sword and Shield era, and also a bonus. We're going to be taking a look at my spreadsheet today. We'll talk about the ETB numbers so you guys can get that, because I do appreciate some of you already using my affiliate link when you're doing your purchasing this weekend. That's amazing. Thank you guys. I do appreciate that. The link is in the description if anybody wants to support the channel. But again, absolutely no pressure to do so. Chilling Reign, we've seen a few boxes move, 7 boxes today, sitting around $480 on TCG Player. But most of the recent sales, I think you're closer to like 465, maybe 470. Kind of surprising how some of these Sword and Shield boxes have moved. For example, Lost Origin, we're sitting around $660. Most recent sales are in that range. I kind of figured Lost Origin would maybe get closer to $700 during this weekend sale, and maybe there's still time for it to get there, but it seems like people are targeting some other more recent items, which we will get to later in the video. Brilliant Stars, we're back up to around $490 on TCG Player. This doesn't surprise me. Price was being manipulated downwards because of those Korean or Chinese booster box sales, whatever it was. And when you look on eBay, there's basically no boxes below $500 at this point. Brilliant Stars, if we zoom out here, has done extremely well in this correction compared to a lot of the other Sword and Shield boxes. Maybe only down like 9%, 10% off its high at this point, which, considering a lot of the other Sword and Shield boxes are down 20, 25%, that's fairly good considering it's not even that great of a set. So Silver Tempest, the last Sword and Shield box I want to talk about, we have made a jump from around the mid 430s up to around $440. Lots of recent sales in here pushing as high as 460. Maybe we see this box get a little bit higher over the weekend, but all in all, it's kind of surprised me how poorly some of these Sword and Shield boxes have done today. I kind of expected them to get pumped a little bit more, so we'll keep an eye on those over the weekend. Some of the Scarlet and Violet era stuff, though, doing great. I mean, Paldea Evolved, this was down to the mid to low 360s. We're now back to around $385 on TCG Player. And you have recent sales pushing a little bit higher than that, sometimes like 400, 405 earlier today. A lot of the sales we've seen tonight, though, are back towards that 380 range. You probably have a couple sellers trying to move some boxes at this price. And it's not a terrible entry point either for buyers. If you're paying about $380 and you get about $40 of that back, $340, not terrible on Paldea Evolved. Surging Sparks, we're back up to around $250 on TCG Player. If you could have been buying these for 200 bucks, that was an absolute no-brainer. I know a lot of people that loaded up over the past couple weeks on Surging. And if we come in here and look at recent sales, most of them are in that $250 range. So I highly doubt we see this box get back down to around $200. If you took the opportunity presented to us over the past month or so when these were restocking at vending machines, congratulations. I know some people think Surging is overrated as well. I tend to disagree with that. I think it's probably going to be the third best booster box set of the Scarlet and Violet era. And I know specialty sets are obviously overshadowing the performance of the booster boxes, but still, it is going to be up there. You got to put some respect on it. And speaking of putting respect on a set, Destin Rivals, we're now up to around $400 on TCG Player. Lots of recent sales actually pushing a little bit higher, up to $410. When we look at the market data from eBay, when it was in like that 380, 382 range, there wasn't a ton of boxes left on the market either. And that was before the TCG Player weekend sale. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see consistent sales even after the sale ends in like the 390, 395, maybe even pushing $400 range. I think that's entirely possible. The demand for the set has stayed up. Even though it's a newer set than something like Prismatic, it seems like the confidence buying booster boxes at this multiple of MSRP is higher than some of these specialty sets. So Destin Rivals to the moon, baby. And now a couple specialty sets here that I want to take a look at. Paldean Fates, nothing super exciting here. 9 boxes moved today. Maybe it was a couple more than that. But in the 239, 240 range, nothing too special. Prismatic evolutions, we have seen a bump from the low 120s back to kind of like the mid 120s, 126, maybe a little bit higher than the middle. 122 items sold. I will say, and I did mention this in a previous video, I just bought some more prismatic ETBs. It seems like they've restocked at the Costco's up here in Canada. I don't know about the States, but people were moving on very cheap, like $80 USD, which I kind of figured that would bring the price down, but maybe it's just smaller restocks at some locations. It's not a nationwide thing. And if that's the case, I doubt we see the boxes get back down to like the 90 range, but you never know. A Black Bolt as well. I mean, we've been talking about this on the channel for months at this point. This was down to around $79 a couple days ago on TCG Player. We're now back up to basically $90, and you actually have some sales eclipsing that threshold. I think Black Bolt is a great set. Sure, it's a new set, it's a specialty set. We're probably going to get some Costco or Sam's Club bundles in the future. We're probably going to see some reprints just from Pokemon, but I still think it's worth buying some of this set and dollar cost averaging over the next 24 months. And the final thing I brought up today, 151 ETBs. These have been falling and continuing to fall. We're now down to around $360 on these. And even though 18 ETBs have moved today, they haven't really moved up in price. Still in like the 350, 355 range are most of these sales. You even had boxes moving as low as $340 an ETB. And considering the 10% back, you have buyers basically paying what, $310, $307, something like that for a 151 ETB. Doesn't seem terrible considering these were at like $415 25, 30 days ago. And as promised, just because I do appreciate some of you guys using the TCG Player link already today, I'm going to show you the market data from the spreadsheet. I did the Sword and Shield ETB update today. We included Fates, Hidden Fates as well. A market price on a couple of these down. Shining Fates, we're back up to around $100, and then Celebrations, $219. That's actually been a fairly large bump since last week when it was below $200. But when we come in here and look at the ETP supply, 77 ETBs for Hidden Fates below 467. We have 203 ETBs of Champions Path below 180.95. 503 ETBs of Shining Fates below $120.64. Guys, Shining Fates is just dead money. Please do not put your money into Shining Fates. Honestly, Champion's Path isn't much better. You can see here, 72, 73 days of inventory remaining. Even most of these ETBs right now, we're going to have to wait a while for supply to get burned. But I think the important thing to point out here is that Crown Zenith ETBs, they're moving better than most of these outside of Shining Fates and Celebrations. Celebrations always sells well. There's still a ton of ETBs out there. Hobbiesville actually has 100 of these 282, and I imagine that they have more than the 100. It's just because on eBay, the supply you can put in, at least for some sites or some sellers, maxes out at 100. So they probably have like 300 ETBs still. And even though they're moving at a fairly strong rate, it's still going to be a while before we see this box get towards $300 USD. But I wouldn't be surprised end of year if Crown Zenith is somewhere in like the 210, 215 range at this point, and Celebrations maybe back up to around $250. I think that's probably realistic. And in case you guys are wondering what's going on with the TCG Player sale for these items, Hidden Fates, we had 9 items move today. This is still around $400, and you had sales as high as $415. So with the cash back, it probably makes sense for people to buy those. Champion's Path, we had 3 items sell today, so not a ton of those. Shining Fates, we had a huge bump here, up to 65 items today of Shining Fates. It's crazy to me with how there's just nothing interesting in Shining Fates. It still moves at a really respectable pace. And honestly, if Pokemon didn't print the set into the ground, it would probably be like $150, $185 ETB, somewhere in that range, probably going toe-to-toe with Champion's Path. It's just because the print cycle was so huge on it. I mean, just look at the numbers, guys. 503 ETBs below $120.64 on eBay North America. It's just so many out there. Celebrations, we had a spike as well. 27 ETBs moved today. I think most of them are probably in that $220, $230 range, some as high as $235 almost. Pokemon Go had a little spike as well, 6 items sold. And then Crown Zenith, another big spike, 17 items sold today. And I think most of them are around $190, $195 USD. So that is all I really wanted to talk about today. It does seem like people are targeting some of the top items like Destined Rivals, like Prismatic Evolutions, but even taking chances on Surging Sparks. I mean, we're back up to $250 on this box. Absolutely relentless. If you guys are planning to shop this weekend and you do want to support the channel, again, link in the description down below. Free and easy to use. All you have to do is click on it before you complete your purchase. I'll get a small percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you, so it's a free and easy way to support the channel. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.